Hello everybody, there is Nukat but Allah. Muhammad is a messenger of Allah. By the end of this video, you will be able to develop your own API documentation like this. Okay? But it's highly recommended first to read these two articles. It's a Node.js application, authentication and authorization using Node.js and JWT, because this is the implementation part. Once you finalize this part, you will be able to create an authentication system using Node.js and JWT, and also integrate Swagger in this application to create your own API. You will be able to integrate Swagger, okay, in any Node.js application. Okay, Swagger allows anyone, be in your development team or your end consumers, to visualize and interact with the API resources without having any of the implementation logic in place. It's automatically generated from your Open API specification with the visual documentation, making it easy for back-end implementation and client-side consumption. Okay, why we are using Swagger? It's used for API design with easy-to-use tools for developers, and also used for API development, which provide tools for quickly prototyping and building API functionality. Swagger also used for API documentations to provide a solution for generating, visualizing, and maintaining API doc. It's used also for API testing, making testing easy by manage, create, and execute API in your pipeline. It's used for API mocking and virtualization, used for API monitoring also. Okay, this is the integration part. We will integrate Swagger in Node.js application. As mentioned before, we have already developed authentication and authorization application using Node.js and JWT. We will integrate Swagger in this application to create our own documentation for this project APIs. Okay, now let's start first by installing these two packages, Swagger UI Express and Swagger JS doc. Okay, we will install these two packages. Okay, good. Swagger UI Express, this package allows you to serve auto-generated API docs from Express. Okay, based on Swagger.json file, which contains some information, metadata about your API, or we can pass this data via JS doc option. Okay, and running Express middleware, you can rename this middleware. You can write your own name to serve your own documentation for your API. Okay, now we will call Swagger UI Express and Swagger JS doc in our entry point server.js. Okay, this is Swagger UI and this is Swagger JS doc. We will add these two packages in our entry point server.js. Okay, now this is the option which contains option object. This will contain some information about our API documentation, like title, JWT authentication and authorization, the version of our APIs, and also the API's path. This is the routes, our routes files. Okay, so we will add this option. Okay, it's metadata about our documentation, and we will put this option for Swagger JS doc in this step. Okay, here we will both this option which contains Swagger definition and some metadata about our documentation to Swagger JS doc. Okay, the final step in setup part, it's creating express middleware aptitudes, and this is the name of your endpoint which is serving your documentation. You can rename or write any name, no problem in that. Okay, app.use, and we will serve our Swagger UI. Okay, and also bothing the options that we have integrate with Swagger JS to the setup function here. Okay, now we will add this middleware in our server.js. Okay, now let's try what we have handled here. Nodemon server.js. We will visit http localhost 5000/API docs. Okay, as you can see, this is our first documentation using Swagger and Node.js. Okay, this is the title that we have added in Swagger definition, and this is the version also. Okay, now let's write our first API documentation. We will use a login API which exists in authentication.js file. So in routes authentication.js we will write here our first API documentation. Okay, at Swagger. Okay, now this is the URL boss API /v1/login, and its type post. Okay, good, post API. Now let's see the effect. It appears here, post API /v1/login. Good. Okay, now we will write description here. Okay, for this API, because as you can see there is no data. Now we will add description this API for authenticating users in our system. Okay, as you can see this is the description that we have added. Good. Okay, now this is the consumes part and produces part related to the content type. So consumes will be application/JSON. Okay, application/JSON, and also produce part will be the same, application JSON. Good. Now we will add our parameters in this API. Okay, for this API login API, we send the two parameters in the URL. It's a username. Okay, as you can see we can send localhost 5, yes, but it's 5000. Okay, as you can see it's a post API, post localhost 5000 /API v1 /login. Sorry, headers body. Okay. HTTP localhost / no authentication, sorry for this. Okay, as you can see, username and password are required. So this is two parameters that we have sent in our request body: username and password. Username will be Ahmed, password will be 1234. Okay, this is existing. I think this is existing account or not, I don't know, but this is our API. Okay, now let's add our parameters here. Yes, parameters, and it will be in body. Good. We will create a model for username and password. So the name will be user credential without spacing. Name will be user credentials. Okay, good. And the schema, this is the reference for user credential. Schema, it will be like this. Okay, good. Now let's create user credential schema under tag definitions. Okay, as you can see, definition user credential not exist. Now we will create this schema. Okay, here it's user credentials. Okay, and in user credential, it's the type of data sent, username and password, it's object. Okay, and also both are required. Good. Username and password. Okay, username, password. Good. Okay, we will define the properties for username and password. Sorry, properties, username, type will be string, and also, sorry, example will be like Ahmed 123. Good. Okay, there is a problem. Password required true, and username password. Okay, sorry, not required true. What is required? It's username and password. Okay, and this is the properties part. Required true, this is when we are sending the body parameters in the parameters part here, when we are using this kind of definition, creating schema and defining this schema with the properties. Okay, so what is the required field? Username and password. Now the properties, username, it's string type, and also this is example. Okay, for password, type will be will be string, and example can be like admin. Okay, now as you can see, this is the parameters part. It's a user credential object. Okay, So the data we are sending in the request body, the username and password, and this is the example Ahmad123 and password admin. Okay, and this is the model that we have defined. Username type string, password type string. It's okay. Now let's try this API for testing. Yes, there is no response because we aren't defined the response yet. Okay, this is the response. We have 3 response types, status code also, responses, 200 description, means that it's okay, and user logged successfully. Okay, good. This is a 200, 400, and its description, it's bad request. Okay, 500, its description will be its internal server error. Okay, now as you can see, this is the response part. 200, it's okay and user logged successfully. 400, bad request. 500, it's internal server error. Okay, now let's try this API by running, clicking on execute. This is the response. Bad request, this is the status code. Success false, data is empty array, and the error message login failed, check your credential, like this API. Okay, good. Now let's try to log in using an existing user, Muhammad1234. Okay, Muhammad1234. This is via Postman. Sorry, Muhammad1234. Yes, success true, and the token generated token, JWT token, it's here. Now let's try from Swagger. This is Muhammad, username Muhammad, and the password 1234. Okay, good. Execute. Yes, success true, and this is the JWT token. Okay, so in this video we have already integrated Swagger in a real application, Node.js application, JWT authentication and authorization in Node.js using JWT. Okay, we have already created our documentation for a login API, and also testing this API using Swagger. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget like and subscribe, and goodbye.